Hi, everyone. My name is Robin Gregg, and like Mike said, I'm the CEO of RoadSync. We have been integrated with Towbook since the beginning of middle of last year, and have been really excited about that partnership and how it's made things easier for our joint tow customers. So we're super pleased to have Mark with us today. He's one of the early users of both Towbook and the RoadSync integration. And he's going to talk a little bit about how it's changed his business, how he got into the business, and some things that he now has more capacity to do now that he's been able to automate a lot of his business operations. So we'd love to have Mark come on now and give us a little bit of an intro about himself, and then we'll jump right in.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for allowing me to be a part of the early integration process with you guys and everything. And just want to give a little background on myself. I've been in the business about 29 years. Always been self-employed. Started off as a different venture in the recovery, like repo sector of towing. Got into this side of it, and just been growing since then. We've had our challenges, we've had our ups and downs, with growth, and was very welcoming to technology as it started coming into the industry.
Can you just give folks a little sense of scale of your business and sort of where you are? I know some folks are familiar with you because you're a well-known figure in the industry, but just maybe a little bit of context, and then we can talk about how you got started using Towbook.
Yeah, sure. So I've always been, in the past, I've been in Houston market, and we've focused on private property towing. We did police impound work, and then we started getting into the heavy duty sector as well. We just really were focused on business to business relationships there early in our early starts of our life. We learned it was a little bit easier to deal with, but it also required a higher level of customer service. So, we always just really pressed that on our guys. We wanted to make sure that we were offering, something that maybe competitors weren't. And we found in many cases that was just, customer service, And then as we progressed and grew in scale, we knew that we had paperwork nightmare, logistics, payment, we're tracking, chasing money all the time. So we knew that we needed to do something, or we were going to be majorly in trouble because we were growing at such a fast pace.
So just talk about how you start. So I know you start with Towbook first. Talk a little bit about sort of the before and after and sort of how you ended up using Towbook.
So back to that customer service part, back in, prior to, let's say 2010, we were, doing invoices, but we were at that point, we were taking photos of all the tows that we were doing. And it was just a safety thing, letting us know, hey, transparency, we're going above and beyond to support that, we didn't damage the vehicle, things like that. But back then we were having to do it with a Polaroid camera, and that was very expensive, and the pictures, they didn't last long. There was just a lot of, storage elements that we came into. So, I reached out to many of the software providers at that point and said, hey, I would love to be able to attach photos to an invoice, wasn't anything crazy, and, I kind of got, pushed away a little bit, but then I finally got into Towbook's ear. And so they were like, oh, wow, that's amazing. So they quickly did that. And, Dan was great at listening to what we needed or what I needed to scale the business. And we just grew from there with Towbook as well, and I think the important part was me as a provider reaching out to the industry or to people such as Towbook or even RoadSync, and saying, look, this is what I need to grow my business or better my business. But then you guys listening.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's crazy that you did Polaroids. I didn't get that from the story when we talked about this earlier. Like,
yeah.
What did you do with them? Did you just stick them in a box, or do
we stapled them to a copy of a handwritten invoice, and we put them in a box, and we had to make sure it was out of the sunlight, and it couldn't be in any kind of moisture, because the picture would disappear over time, So, our evidence of no damage was only there for a short life,
Yeah, that's crazy. Do you still have those Polaroid cameras at all?
Later no, I don't. I wish I did.
I know, right? They're coming back in. I think they're like, the cool kids like them now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's super interesting. I think you told me you started using Towbook in 2010. Is that right? Okay,
Yes.
so obviously we came around a lot later. I
Yeah.
can't remember if you used us separately before the integration or not, but talk about how you found out about us and sort of, kind of what changed as sort of you use the integration between the two of us.
So I used several different providers before, and it wasn't that they weren't it wasn't that they weren't good providers. It wasn't that was the fit for me on a scalable platform. For many years, and with American Towman, I've written some articles in the past how we incorporated like Cash App and Zelle, just trying to be as user friendly as possible to the consumer. Like, I don't care how you pay me, just pay me. I'm very flexible on that, and that's where I think RoadSync really stood out to me. But where RoadSync stood out to me was we were at state capitol one day, and we were, our industry was fighting for a bill that was very not in favorable of our industry. And you guys had a RoadSync rep. Just, I guess he was in the area. I mean, I don't know, but we turn around and there's a guy wearing a RoadSync shirt, and he's signing up to testify on our behalf to Texas State Capitol. And come to find out, he's from Georgia. Like, he doesn't live in Texas, but he was just there really to support our industry. And to me at that moment, I was like, you know what? That's somebody that I feel has my best interest. So that's what put RoadSync on the map for me. That moment, just knowing, hey, he unintentionally, he was there doing something he felt that was right. I felt that you guys were going to have my back, further in progress.
And so I think, you kind of helped champion us getting the integration into Towbook, and probably were one of our early users.
Correct.
Talk about what is different about having those payments integrated within the tool you're using every day. What does that help unlock? Are there kind of specific things that are helpful as you kind of think about what that does together?
Yeah, so we go back to the efficiencies and transparencies and things like that. So being involved with Towbook at an early stage, I probably utilize Towbook to its fullest. I mean, I know every aspect of it. I have so many workarounds and cheat codes and just things that I've found over the years. And then also being a part with Towbook at trade shows, talking to customers, I get an opportunity to share those experiences with them and show them how to better utilize the product in their business. And by doing all these things, it's allowed me to have more free time. I mean, it allows me to travel. I have vacation. I mean, I'm on vacation right now with my family, as we're doing this. And it allows me to stay connected to my business at all points. And I know what my numbers are. I know what my trucks are doing. I know what my dispatchers are doing. So that's where the use of RoadSync became very important, is because we were using so many platforms. We were using, another platform to process credit cards, another one for Comdata checks. I mean, there were just all these different platforms, or ACHs, and for you guys to be the only one that we found that had all of that under one login was amazing to me. I was like, man, this will simplify so much, So everything I do basically it revolves around Towbook. Like, if you can integrate with Towbook, I'm going to use you. If you're a customer or a motor club, if you can't send the call to Towbook, I don't have time to do the business, because I've learned, my time is worth something. And stepping back, if I don't have an integration, like you guys working directly with Towbook and having access to see payments and reporting and everything in there, just instantly, it takes more time for me. And that time normally is sacrificing in, safety or growth or development of my business. I've been able to open up so much time that I could really, focus on my business, know what makes me money, or even focus on things that are going to potentially cost me money, limiting my liabilities. So that was the important part of RoadSync being involved, and why I really was excited that the integration did happen.
Just in general, like, what other payment challenges have you sort of historically had for the business? Because, like, a lot of people are using just general purpose payment solutions that don't target the towing industry.
Right.
So what do you think that we do different, and what are the things that you need that are kind of unique that you can't get from someone who's just also servicing restaurants and coffee shops?
Right. I think, customer service is most important. I can call at any point and I can get somebody on the phone with you guys. If I have an issue, there's something going on. I mean, there was a funny incident where we had an auction at our facility, and there was actually a car that I wanted to buy personally, but just to keep the transparency and efficiencies right, Mark Denson physically bought the car, and I put it on one of my credit cards. And I mean, and instantly recently, Jonathan was calling me, "Hey, Mark, you just bought a car, or there's a transaction of your name." And I said, "Yeah, I just bought a car out of my auction, but I needed transparency to show that, look, this is what I bought it for, where the car went. I just wanted a clean record." So it just shows how close and how efficient you guys really watch our accounts and know
We
what's
wanted to
going
make sure
on.
no one was stealing your money. So
100%. Yeah. I felt special at that moment,
yeah, Jonathan's looking out for your dollars.
Yeah, for sure. So, so just that right there, just knowing those securities are in place, but, creating a policy and a structure of, this is how we recommend you process your cards.
Yeah.
No, for RoadSync to take the time to come out and educate my staff on, hey, this is the process we want you to do. This is how we'll minimize, chargebacks or, disputes and things like that. And honestly, you guys have done an amazing job at it. I mean, what you guys came out and taught us to do is what we put in place. And my guys know, hey, if you do not follow this procedure, you will not get paid if we don't get paid. I mean, it's what it is. And we've had zero issues with you guys. I mean, disputes and chargebacks are a huge issue in our industry. And we do get them, but they're very minimal. And when we do get them, I'm very comfortable knowing that you guys handle it for us.
Yeah, that's great. You talked about knowing some of the sort of cheat codes and the ways to use the two software platforms to their fullest potential. Can you describe some of those for folks who might use one or the other, and kind of what are ways you think are, you describe yourself as a super user of both Towbook and RoadSync, and like, what are the things that people really should be doing to unlock more time for their business?
I say the most important thing is training. I see a lot of people who have Towbook because their friend told them to, or their competitor has it, or maybe Geico told them to get on Towbook so they can send them calls. I mean, I don't know, but the amount that don't take the training, they don't follow through for complete setup, they don't get a full scope of really what the software can do for them.
Yep.
I think that it's crazy to me that people buy or pay for a product and not know how to use it. And I think it's very important that they take advantage of all the training that Towbook offers. There's no additional cost for that. I mean, they're there all the time. But I think on your side as well, if you don't know what the product will do or how powerful it is, then how do you really use it? And how do you know that it's really working for you? If you're just getting by, you're throwing money away.
Yeah. I think that's a great point. I mean, I think that goes for any software platform, right? Like everything has a learning curve. And, I think the best software and technology solutions are going to invest heavily in accessible training, either with, live people or with videos that you can watch. And like, people really should take advantage of that. Because otherwise you're just paying for something and probably getting 1/10 of what they can actually do. So I think that's a great point. I definitely have a couple more questions, but we have lots of folks online. I can see everybody's chat. So if people have questions, I'm happy to take those. So just go ahead and pop those in, and I can ask Mark those as we sort of continue the conversation. But if we don't have any, do you have any sort of specific metrics or sort of things that have happened that kind of have been unlocks for your business, like tangible ways people can think about the value in terms of either headcount or dollar savings, and sort of how do you quantify the ROI of either platform?
So number one, using a solid platform, there's a level of trust. I know that I can let my guard down in some cases. So really trusting and depending on my dispatching software, knowing how to use it, knowing that it's set up, knowing that my staff is trained on it, as well as the credit card processing side of it, knowing what to do, how to do, and what to do if something doesn't go right. Having those things in place is very important. Number two, I would say by having those things, it allows me to do what I need to do and not focus on the small things. I need to go find the next job. I need to make sure that there's more work to go on the back of the trucks, because at the end of the day, that's what pays the bills. Anything collected is probably already gone. I need the next, I need the next one. And so, by myself, my staff, having more time to work efficiently, we're able to go and reach out to customers, provide the extra level of customer service. We're able to focus on things such as safety and just really make sure our guys are operating in a safe manner. Trying to minimize, exposure on the roadways. Trying to figure out how we can make them safer drivers. How can we be more proactive in avoiding accidents? That's all things that save me money. It didn't cost me money, so it saved me money. And in the long run, insurance is just going to go up and up, So if I can really focus on the parts that I can't control, I do essentially wind up having a little control.
Yeah, great. Well, we have two questions. So let me, the first one is, will RoadSync eventually be able to take a link on Towbook to send a payment link straight from Towbook? We're working on ways to improve our integration and have it sort of, we're basically using sort of the conventional APIs from Towbook and are just in the early innings in terms of our integration. So we're always open to feedback on how to change that. And so that is definitely one of the things that we've been looking at and trying to figure out. So I don't have a time for when we might be able to do it, but it is something that we're investigating. The second one is a question that I think it would be great for Mark. How easy is it to take a payment? I have a few older drivers that are not good with technology. So can you speak to that and how user-friendly the platform is for your employees and what it kind of looks like
Definitely.
to train?
Definitely, and I think that, a challenge of technology is you have your older guys that are not so accepting of it, or they're afraid of it, or they're intimidated by it. But every single driver, every single employee in my company has a login and they're able to send it. I mean, it is very simple. It's very easy. It's transparent. It's there. I guess the biggest thing is just don't be afraid of it. Make sure your staff is comfortable with what they're doing. And I think if it's introduced in a manner of it makes their job easier and not you're going to do this, you have to do this, I think it's more accepted as well. I found, I can go a little bit further with honey than a little salt,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And this isn't part of the question, but on your payer side, so on your customer side, can you talk about how this has impacted their experience and sort of how you've thought about that?
We get compliments on it all the time, about how easy it is. They like it. It's so clean. They're getting they have both of their invoices, receipts at the same time. So we get a lot of positive feedback on it. And to go back to that question as well, we've streamlined some things too. So if you have a driver that's somewhat struggling with it, these links can be sent at any time. You could send the links in advance of the tow as well. You've quoted what the price is, so this link could be sent, in advance. So if you have a driver that's struggling or is having issues, there's a fail safe there.
Yeah, we actually have a lot of customers who will send out the link from dispatch, not from the mechanic or the driver that's on the side of the road. So
and your first question, I would like to touch base on that as well.
Yeah.
Just learning, securities and technologies, and just being involved with Towbook for so much, like as a industry expert for them and stuff. I feel that I really am comfortable with the RoadSync process today because I know that you have the securities in place, but it puts the ball more in your hands, that if my driver's in your app doing the work, doing the things, that I feel that we're better protected on the chargeback aspect. There's just, I just feel there's more securities in place when you have integrations, and it's not that Towbook can't handle that side of it, but I just think if you get more people involved, it just really creates an aspect where you can point fingers. Well, that was their mistake. No, that was their mistake, and at the end of the day, it's RoadSync's baby. They're the one that has to answer or support or justify anything that happens in that process.
Yeah. And I mean, I do think that, even though the platforms are integrated, it's really about like removing data entry. Like you're not going to have to enter the data into two systems. Payments are posted in the Towbook system. You have that as a record that you can have. But like we do want people to still go in the RoadSync app because to your point, there's just a different type of information and experience. It's very payment centric that doesn't really make sense to live within Towbook. And so I think we've been reluctant, and I think Towbook has been too, to kind of get, too abstracted from the customer who's using it, because we want people to know who's doing what part of the service, so they know who to ask for service, right? Like if it's just a link that's within Towbook, it becomes, it feels more like Towbook's solution. And Towbook does not want to field our many payment questions or whatever happens to arise. So.
Yeah, I think that goes both ways, but at the end of the day, when there's a problem, I know who to call. I don't have to wait for a call back or wait to reach out to the wrong person. I know who to call, and so I feel the way that it is comfortable right now. I'm comfortable with that process. Just knowing, who is in charge and who's responsible. There's no blurred lines, there's no way around it.
Yeah, great. Yeah, but we're always open to making it better and are always taking people's feedback quite seriously. So we appreciate that. The other it's another piece of feedback for us is someone started using us with Towbook and would like to be able to pay multiple invoices on a single transaction. We are aware of that and are actually working on a solution for that. That will be a solution that we also can offer to customers who are just using us. I don't have an ETA on that, but that's a feature that people have been asking for a while.
That's definitely something that we've been discussing for a while. That's a common one.
So we hear you on that. It also helps people who have kind of more, recurring business that want to bundle all the bills for the month and maybe even schedule them. So we have been working on that. So take that feedback for sure. And then is there a way to import Towbook multiple invoices to RoadSync at once for customers?
That's redundant. That's the same question right there. Because and for you to know, and maybe some other users, we send out statements and it has multiple invoices attached. And at times we could get a credit card, a virtual credit card sent to us, and it will cover a series of invoices. So it would be nice to be able to go through and mark them all seamlessly at one time. And this is something that we've been discussing and trying to figure out how to do that. Because there's a lot of unique aspects in there. Sometimes certain motor clubs that are, for example, there's discounts that are applied. So the invoice may be this much, but they're only paying this much. So we're having to work on paying multiple invoices at once, but also apply multiple discounts at once. So there's a lot of moving parts there.
And we got another feature request. So ability for customers to split, not use one payment for multiple invoices, but to use multiple payments for one invoice. But we've heard that too on split payments. And that's something that we have on the roadmap as well. I think we're getting pretty close to the end of time. I will tell folks, if you do have questions, I'm available and I can get you to the right person, robin.gregg@roadsync.com, and been happy to answer those. And if there are more Towbook questions, we can refer you on to them. But, before we sort of wrap up, I would love to, I'll kind of close this out and let folks know what next steps are. But is there anything we didn't cover, Mark? Anything that you think we should talk about, as we kind of wrap up the conversation today?
I think, people just need to know that technology is here. It's not going anywhere. It's going to better us, and it's going to allow your business to grow. It's going to give you, valuable time that you wouldn't have before. Embrace it, take advantage of it, run with it. There's great companies such as, RoadSync and Towbook that are there to help you. They support the industry. They're involved, and I think it's important to know as an industry, as someone in the industry, it's also important to give our support back to the providers that support our industry as well. So, the love goes both ways. We need to make sure we keep the ones that are supporting us in the industry. So.
Yeah, well, I certainly appreciate that. We have, we've made a deep commitment to the industry and hope to continue to do that. So I guess it looks like it was answered, but a couple of folks had questions about whether or not this replay would be available. If you registered for this, it will be sent to you, and you'll have a link so you can review it or send it to your staff. We also did get a couple other questions about specifically about NFC readers on phones. So tap to pay on phones. We actually will have that available for iPhone probably January of next year. We're actively working on that, and we're going to have Android thereafter. So stay tuned for that. We know that folks would like to be able to do that as well. But if folks don't have any other questions, I want to thank you, Mark, for your time. I want to thank you for being a customer. I really appreciate the conversation today.
Awesome. Thank you. Take care.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Mike, for having us.